the shores of beautiful Nassau, Bahamas. Welcome to Walking in Victory with Bishop Neil C. Ellis. The powerful and prophetic ministry of Bishop Neil C. Ellis is impacting the lives of believers all around the world. His bold and forthright presentation of spiritual truths and biblical principles is sure to change your life forever. Get ready to experience a fresh approach to ministry as this anointed author and pastor teaches us how to walk in victory.
Walking in victory.
Hello and welcome to Walking in Victory. I'm Patrice Ellis and I'm so delighted that you have decided to tune in to today's telecast. Now on today's program, I'll share with you a portion of the Christmas Day sermon in the fullness of time. This message was delivered by Senior Pastor Bishop Neil C. Ellis, and at the onset of the sermon, Bishop proclaimed that the one thing none of us have the power to stop is time. Time is controlled by God. In the fullness of time, our lives will unfold. Bishop defined the fullness of time as the perfectness of time. It's the completeness of time. It's God's appointed time. If serving God is going to make sense to us, one of the things we must know about God is that He is never late. He is always on time. God's timing is always perfect. A tremendous lesson the Yuletide season can teach us is that, as Bishop Ellis states, that Jesus came into the world at exactly the right time. Everything is in God's time. Jesus was a godsend, and so are you. You are a godsend. And so, I invite you now to listen to the sermon in the fullness of time.
In the fullness of time, in the fullness of time, when a baby is born in the womb, or when a baby is in the womb, everything is done for that baby. The baby doesn't do anything for him or herself. Food is taken care of. They get carried around all day. They can sleep whenever they choose. For a season, that's good. While the baby is growing and maturing, the womb is where he or she is supposed to be. But there's something, ladies and gentlemen, called time. And when the fullness of time comes, the baby has to get out of the womb. Birth has to happen. When the fullness of time comes, change has to come. And it does not matter how much the baby loves their womb environment. When the fullness of time comes, There's nothing the baby can do to prevent leaving the womb and entering into this world. Because the one thing none of us have the power to stop is time. Now, it's interesting to note that when the Bible spoke about the fullness of time, it had the same connotation of a pregnant woman who has finally reached that moment of giving birth. On Christmas Day, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, he stepped out of eternity and into time. And the Bible teaches that though he had a human beginning, the person of Jesus Christ did not begin to exist when he was born in Bethlehem. We celebrate his birth at Christmas time, but what we're really celebrating is his birth into human form. Because he did not begin to exist when he was born in Bethlehem. He represented eternity having a collision with time. And when he did, he changed the course of history. Eternity stepped out of the eternal realm and became flesh coming into time. And so Paul, in writing to this Galatian church, says when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his son to be born of a woman. So what's the fullness of time? It's, ladies and gentlemen, the perfectness of time. It's the completeness of time. It's God's appointed. Are y'all listening? God's appointed time. And you know, if serving God is going to make sense to us, one of the things we must know about God is that he's never late. He's never late. He's always on time. God's timing is always perfect. He who represents all wisdom and all knowledge has never been late. He who took nothing and made something out of nothing has always been on time. When the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his son born of a woman. That's an amazing statement, ladies and gentlemen, because that means there was a time in history, please hear me, when all things were perfectly right for Jesus to be born. Jesus came into this world at exactly the right time. So one of the things that Christmas should remind us of is God's perfect timing. Ladies and gentlemen, just as God's timing was perfect in the coming of Jesus, his timing is perfect in your life and in my life. Jesus, ladies and gentlemen, was a God sent. But you want to know what the real blessing of Christmas is? So are you. Jesus was a God sent, and so are you. You are not here by accident, like I said before. You are a God sent. You are not here by happenstance. You are a God sent. You are not here by chance. You are a God sent. And you've got to see yourself in that manner. You are not just here. You're a God sent. No matter who dismisses you, no matter who cancels you out, no matter who puts an X alongside of your name, you are a God sent. Let's read verse 4 again, please.
But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his son.
Watch this now.
Born of a woman.
Born of a woman. God sent forth his son, but he used a woman. God, who is the creator and the sustainer of this universe. God, who decided, I want to have night and I want to have day, and so he separated the morning from the evening. God, who decided the world looks too bland. I want to put little trees up, little grass here, and I want to have fishes swimming somewhere. And he separated the land from the sea. God, who created the sun, Lord have mercy, put the sun in place and told the sun, don't move. And the sun has been there ever since, and nobody had to ever go to repair the sun. God, who put the stars and the moon in place. He didn't need us. But in the fullness of time, God sent forth his son to be born of a woman. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, one of the major things that God has ever done, he decided to partner with human flesh to get this job done. So Jesus, ladies and gentlemen, Jesus was sent by God, but he partnered with human flesh to complete the task. And we see this throughout the Old Testament. God showed how he intersects with historical events and eras. He sent Joseph to Egypt. Shortly before the great famine, he sent Joseph to Egypt. He sent Moses to deliver his people out of the oppressive hands of Pharaoh. He caused the Jewish girl Esther to become queen to save her people from genocide, all in the fullness of time. And maybe today is the right time for God to move in a special way in your life. May I invite you again, ladies and gentlemen, to see this Christmas as the fullness of time for your life, in your career, for your dreams, and for what you've been pregnant with. So let's go to Luke chapter 2, reading from verse 4.
And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while they were there, the day was accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes.
Here it is. Go ahead.
And laid him in a manger.
Why?
Because there was no room for them in the inn.
Wait a minute. It was the fullness of time. It was in the fullness of time. So I don't know what this is Delton reading, because in addition to being the fullness of time, it was God who sent his son forth. But Delton just read here, according to Luke chapter 2, when he came forth, there was no room for him. It was in the fullness of time. Everything was set for his arrival except there was no room for him. And the Bible says God sent him. The Bible says everything in history had lined up perfectly for his arrival, and then God sent him. And then he came, and there was no room for him. Something ain't right here. As you celebrate this Yuletide season, don't allow your circumstances to deceive you in suggesting that this is not the fullness of time for you. Because let me tell you something. You could be in the midst of the fullness of time and everything still ain't in order. So you could be there saying, I don't know how my life is in a crisis right now. I don't know why my life is taking this kind of turn. I thought this and I thought that, and God told me this and God told me that, and I'm confused. And I'm saying, don't allow your circumstances to dictate to you whether or not this is fullness of time in your life. God sent forth, and there was no room. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. God pardoned us with human flesh. Are you listening? Because a breakthrough is coming if you hear me properly. God pardoned us with human flesh. And let me tell you something. Whenever God pardons us with human flesh, God does his part of the partnership. He keeps his part of the agreement, of the covenant. But that part that's left to man is not always what it needs to be. If something is out of order in your life, don't blame God for it, and don't blame what you're going through for it to cause you to walk away from what God sent you for. All right, now watch this. Let me ask you. So there was no room for Jesus. Did he come forth? Which means then you have no privilege. You have no authority for excuses for not bringing forth. Because as long as God sent forth, you were supposed to bring forth whether there's room for you or not. Man has a way. If they can stop you, they will try to stop you, whatever they need to do. Don't tell me, I'm a witness. John 14, come on, verses 1, 2, and 3.
Let not your heart be troubled.
Why not?
Ye believe in God, believe also in me.
Listen up now, listen up. I want you to hear this. Listen up now, because guess who's talking? The person who is talking is the one who the world had no room for. I need you to hear this. Verse 2.
In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you.
I do what?
I
go to prepare a place for you. Now when I came, nobody had a place for me. But I got to leave y'all now. I'm going to prepare a place for you. Read verse 3, Dalton. Come on.
And if I go and
prepare a place for you, what's going to happen?
I will come again.
I will come again. Go ahead, son.
And receive you.
Why?
Unto that where I am. There ye may be also.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can't let Dalton go like that. Go back to verse number 1, please.
Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me.
Verse 2.
In my Father's house are many mansions.
Jesus says, when I came, there was not even a room for me. But I'm going to prepare you a mansion. Lord have mercy. I can't get past this. This man who the world had nothing in store for and nothing ready for his arrival. And he's saying, I'm going to get ready for you. I'm going to prepare you a mansion. And when your mansion is ready, I'm coming back to receive you unto myself, that where I am, you can be with me also, because I am the King of Kings in spite of how I was born. Lord, have mercy. Okay. This is how I bring it in. This is how I bring it in. This is how I bring it in. Before I do that, I know you can't touch nobody, but hit yourself and tell them, I'm getting ready for something major. That you got to say that with power. Hit yourself. I'm getting ready for something major. All right, watch this. Watch this now. This is a James Allen Francis. I'm going to borrow some words from him because he kind of fixed it like I want to say it. See, Jesus was born in an obscure village. He was the child of a peasant woman. He grew up in another village where he worked in a carpenter shop until he was 30. For 3 years, he was an interim preacher. Watch this now. He never wrote a book. He never held an office. He never had a family or owned a home. He didn't go to college. He never traveled 200 miles from the place where he was born. He did none of these things. He did nothing that usually accompanied greatness. He had no credentials but himself. He was 33 when the tide of public opinion turned against him. His friends ran away. One of them denied him. He was turned over into the hands of the enemy. And he went through the mockery of a trial. He was nailed to a cross between two thieves. While he was dying, his executioners gambled for his only garments, his only property he had left. And when he was dead, he was laid in a borrowed grave through the pity of a friend. Okay, you heard all this. Now guess what? 20 centuries have come and gone. And today, he is the central figure of the human race. Don't sit there and act upon me like God can't do that for you. All armies that have ever marched, all navies that have ever sailed, all parliaments that have ever sat, all kings that have ever reigned put together have not affected the human life like this one man we call Jesus. And when he was born, there was no room for him. And so if today this sermon finds you struggling, discouraged, in need of a friend, this could be the fullness of time for your life. If you're confused, unsettled, without hope, without Christ, God's not through with you yet. This could be the fullness of time for your life. If your life looks hopeless, things look devastating, and your future looks pretty grim, the God we serve is able to turn it around. This could be, come on, everybody stand, the fullness of time for your life. And as you celebrate this Yuletide season, don't allow your present set of circumstances to deceive you into suggesting that this is not your fullness of time. Lift your hands with me, everybody. Be still and know that I am God. I'll turn it around. I am the God who heals you. He's not just talking about the body, but the mind and the spirit. Today, if you hear my voice, I am convinced, like I've never been convinced before, that today, while it looks like a normal day, while it feels like an average day, this is a turning day for you.
My friends, what a needed word from the Lord during this wonderful Christmas season. God has indeed spoken, and so I leave you with this word. Your history does not determine your destiny. Until next time, I'm Patrice Ellis, and on behalf of my husband, Bishop Neil Ellis, and the entire Walking in Victory team, thank you so much for joining us today, and I invite you to tune in again next week, right here at the same time. So until then, I need you to remember that you have been anointed to walk in victory.
Troubles can make it seem like you can't reach your dreams, but know that you've been made free and you're walking in victory.
Bishop Neil C. Ellis and the Mount Tabor Church family in Nassau, Bahamas wish to thank you for viewing the Walking in Victory broadcast and invite you to tune in next week to experience this powerful prophetic ministry. Should you wish to correspond with Bishop Ellis, please write him at P.O. Box N9705, Nassau, Bahamas, or email him at info@neilellisministries.com.
Walking in victory.